If you have been following the renewable energy sector, you have probably noticed something interesting. India is installing solar and wind power at a record pace. Every year, nearly 50 gigawatt of renewable capacity needs to be added if India wants to reach its 500 gigawatt non-fossil energy target by 2030. At first glance, this sounds fantastic. More solar means cheaper electricity, more clean energy means lower pollution. So, where is the problem? The problem is that electricity cannot be stored in the transmission grid itself. Unlike water stored in a reservoir, electricity has to be consumed the moment it is generated. This is exactly where battery energy storage system comes into the picture. Think of battery energy storage system as a giant power bank, but instead of charging your smartphone, it stores electricity generated by solar and wind farms and supplies it back to the grid when electricity is needed the most. Without large scale storage, India's renewable energy revolution cannot reach its full potential. Let's understand the biggest challenge in renewable energy through a simple example. Imagine a city that relies heavily on solar power. At 1 p.m., the sun is shining brightly. Solar plants are generating massive amounts of electricity. Suppose the city needs only 60 megawatt, but solar farms are producing 100 megawatt. That means 40 megawatt of electricity has nowhere to go. Electricity prices crash because supply is much higher than demand. Sometimes prices fall as low as 30 paisa per unit. Now, fast forward at 8 p.m. The sun has set. Solar generation becomes almost zero, but people return home from work. Air conditioners are switched on, lights are turned on, televisions start running, electric vehicles charging begin, demand shoots up dramatically. Electricity prices can jump to 8 to 10 rupees per unit. This creates a huge mismatch between supply and demand. The daily demand profile is known as the duck curve because its shape resembles the outline of a duck. And this is one of the biggest reasons why battery energy storage has become indispensable. Now, you may wonder, why not simply reduce coal generation during the afternoon? Coal power plants cannot work like an electric switch. Most Indian thermal power plants have a technical minimum operating load of around 55 to 65%. If they are pushed below this level, they become unstable and inefficient. It also takes considerable time to ramp up generation or ramp down. Batteries, on the other hand, can respond in milliseconds. That is thousands of times faster. So while coal plants continue generating electricity, even during periods of excess solar generation, battery systems simply absorb the surplus energy and release it later when demand peaks. So, how does a battery storage company actually make money? The answer is surprisingly simple. Buy electricity when it is cheap, sell electricity when it is expensive. Let's take an example. At 1 p.m., electricity prices are just rupees 2 per unit. The battery charges itself. At 8 p.m., electricity prices rise to rupees 9 per unit. The battery now sells that stored electricity back to the grid. The spread between buying and selling prices become its revenue. This is called energy arbitrage. However, that is only one revenue source, but battery operators also earn money through frequency regulation, peak shaving, renewable farming, capacity payments, charge management, grid support services. Because they have multiple income streams, modern BESS projects can generate attractive returns. Now comes perhaps the most important point for investors. Normally, whether someone buys a product depends on economics, but the government has changed the rules through something called Energy Storage Obligation or ESO. Every electricity distribution company or DISCOM is required to procure a minimum amount of battery storage along with renewable power. Think of it like a motor insurance. Buying a luxury car is optional, but buying insurance is compulsory. Simply, battery storage is increasingly become compulsory for renewable integration. This means base demand is no longer discretionary, it is policy driven. As India installs more renewable energy, battery demand automatically increases. This provides long term visibility for companies operating in the sector. So far, we have understood why battery storage has become essential. India needs battery storage because solar power is available during the day, whereas electricity demand peaks in the evening. A battery energy storage system is not just a giant battery. In fact, the battery itself is one part of the system. A modern BESS is a combination of advanced chemistry, sophisticated software, power electronics, cooling technology, and intelligent control systems. Let's open the battery container and understand what lies inside. Most people imagine a battery as something like the one inside the mobile phone, but utility scale BESS looks completely different. It resembles a 40-foot shipping container. Inside the container, there are thousands of battery cells, multiple battery racks, cooling systems, inverters, computers, fire protection equipment, and communication devices. You can think of it as a mini power plant packed inside a container. Let's understand each component one by one. Firstly, the first component is the battery cell. Just like human body is made of millions of cells, a battery energy storage system is built using thousands of battery cells. The cells store electricity in chemical form. Thousands of cells form modules. Modules from battery racks. Several racks together form an entire battery container. But these cells are very much different from what we have discussed in our previous video of renewable energy. It's not TOPCon, it's not HGT, it's different. Now, which battery technology dominates? That remains in question. There are many battery chemistries available today. The most popular are lithium iron phosphate, LFP, nickel manganese cadmium, that is NMC, flow batteries, sodium ion, solid state batteries, but one chemistry has emerged as the clear winner, that is lithium iron phosphate or LFP. Nearly two-thirds of all utility scale batteries projects worldwide use LFP batteries. Why? Because investors care about three things: safety, life, cost. LFP is safer than NMC. It has lower cost as well. Its discharging cycle is 3000 to 6000 cycle versus 1500 to 3000 cycles of NMC of similar size. LFP has relatively longer life compared to NMC, but lower energy density. NMC has relatively higher energy density. So if NMC can store more energy, why is not everyone using it? Because utility scale storage does not need lightweight batteries. Unlike electric vehicles, a battery container does not move. What matters is lower cost and longer life. That is why LFP dominates large battery energy projects. Now the question is, what is cycle life? Cycle life, suppose you fully charge your mobile phone, then discharge it completely. That is one cycle. Now imagine doing this every day. After several years, the battery starts deteriorating. Exactly the same thing happens inside utility scale batteries. LFP batteries typically last between 3000 to 6000 complete charge discharge cycles. If the battery is used once every day, that is roughly 8 to 15 years of useful life. Higher cycle life means lower replacement costs and better project economies. Now comes one of the most critical component called battery management system or BMS. Think of BMS as the brain of the battery. Imagine managing thousands of battery cells simultaneously. Every single cell has a different voltage, different temperature, different charging speed. If even one cell overheats, it can damage the entire battery pack. The BMS continuously monitors every individual cell. It balances charging, controls voltages, measures current, detects faults, and prevents dangerous phenomenon of thermal runaway. Now, what is thermal runaway? Thermal runaway is when one battery cell overheats and begins hitting neighborly cells. It creates a chain reaction. Temperature rises rapidly, eventually causing fire. This is why modern battery systems have sophisticated monitoring software and multiple safety mechanisms. So, how do companies prevent batteries from overheating? It's simple by installing thermal management system. Think of it as an air conditioner for the battery. During summer, it cools the battery. During colder conditions, it can also warms them. Maintaining the light temperature improves efficiency, extends battery life, and significantly reduces fire risk. This is one of the biggest engineering challenges in the industry. Even after advanced cooling system, safety cannot be compromised. Large battery containers therefore include smoke detectors, gas sensors, fire suppression systems, emergency shutdown mechanisms, isolation systems. All these work together to ensure safe operations. Now let's move to another important component, the power conversion system or PCS. Here is the problem. Batteries store electricity in direct current, but our homes and electricity grid operate using alternating current, that is AC. Now PCS acts like a translator. While charging, it converts AC into DC. While discharging, it converts again DC back to AC. Without PCS, electricity stored inside the battery cannot be supplied to the grid. So PCS is very important. It controls voltage, frequency, reactive power, grid synchronization. Because of this, PCS reliability directly affects the profitability of every BESS project. If the BMS is the brain of the battery, then EMS is the CEO of the entire power plant. EMS, यानी कि energy management system, decides when should battery charge, when should it discharge, should electricity be stored now or sold immediately, should battery life be protected or maximize today's profit. The BMS continuously analyzes electricity prices, solar generation, weather forecasts, battery health, demand patterns, and makes thousands of decisions every day. Imagine electricity prices are only 2 per unit at 1 p.m. The BMS immediately starts charging the battery. By 8 p.m., electricity prices are rupees 9 per unit. Now the EMS instructs the battery to discharge. This is how battery companies make money through energy arbitrage. How do operators monitor hundreds of battery containers spread across different states? The technology is called SCADA, Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. Think of SCADA as the control room. Operators sitting hundreds of kilometers away can see battery temperature, power output, charging level, fault alarm, voltage, current, everything in real time. Now let's understand 4 technical terms every investor should know. The first one is round trip efficiency. If you put 100 units of electricity into the battery and later get back only 90 units, the battery round trip efficiency is 90%. Higher efficiency means lower energy losses and higher profits. Next one is levelized cost of storage or LCOS. LCOS simply means what is the average lifetime cost of delivering 1 unit of electricity from the battery. Let's simplify it. A battery costs rupees 10 lakh over its entire life. If it is able to deliver 2 lakh units of electricity, then its L cost becomes 10 lakh divided by rupees 10 lakh divided by 2 lakh unit means rupees 5 per unit. Lower L cost means better economics. Next comes energy density. Energy density tells us how much electricity can be stored in a given weight or pace. Higher energy density is critical for electric vehicle, but for stationary battery storage, long life and lower cost matter far more than energy density. No battery lasts forever. Every year, batteries gradually lose around 2 to 3% of their storage capacity. This means companies must periodically replace some battery modules to maintain the original capacity. This process is called augmentation and must be factored into project economics. Although LFP dominates today, researchers are already working on next generation technologies. Flow batteries promise over 10,000 charge cycle, making them ideal for long duration storage. Sodium-ion batteries could reduce dependency on lithium and are expected to become commercially relevant over the next few years. Solid-state batteries may offer higher safety and energy density in the next decade, but the foreseeable future that is, LFP remains the preferred technology for grid scale storage. So now we have understood exactly how a battery energy storage system works, but technology alone cannot create shareholders' return. The real question investors should ask is who actually makes money in the value chain? Which Indian companies manufacture battery cells? Who makes battery management system? Who supplies power control systems? Which companies are building complete BESS projects? And most importantly, which listed companies are likely to emerge as the biggest beneficiaries of India's 4 lakh crore battery storage opportunity? Let's decode the complete BESS investment landscape in the next video. That's it for today. I hope you have found this video informative. So don't forget to like and share the video, and please subscribe the channel for getting this type of analytical effort. It's 12 o'clock in the night, and after a full day of work, I am making this video. So hope I will get enough support from your end by subscription, and thank you so much.